Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of Next Agriculture, and I'm super honored to present you today's guest, which is Giorgi Khubua, a Georgian serial entrepreneur who is now based in Germany, managing director of Medea Biopharma, visiting lecturer at Technical University of Munich, and mentor to emerging founders. Georgi definitely has spent his career turning ideas into products and mentoring others to do the same. Hello, Georgi. I'm really happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me here and happy to discuss with you interesting topics.
Thank you. Absolutely. Georgi, you definitely are wearing several hats. You moved from academia to startup to biotech. What keeps you energized these days?
Well, I think the energy of every entrepreneurs come especially from this goal to create something from the scratch and bring it on the market. So I think it's the answer would be the same. What motivates you, and this is this passion of make a change.
Sounds great. Sounds absolutely great. Talking about startups, talking about markets, tell us a little bit more about Medea Biopharma, an amazing startup you're managing as a director. What is the problem that you're solving, and why does it matter now?
So, Medea Biopharma is a German biotechnology company co-founded by three entrepreneurs, myself, Rüdiger Trojok, and Dr. Elene Kakabadze. And Medea is developing the next generation of natural and safe antibacterial solutions as alternatives to antibiotics based on bacteriophages. These are natural microorganisms that effectively kill bacteria. The problem that we are solving is the global antimicrobial resistance problem, meaning the overusage of existing antibiotics, in particular in agriculture segment, made bacteria resistant, meaning bacteria cannot be killed and bacterial infections cannot be treated anymore. And this is why more than 1.6 million people every single year die, and the number will be significantly higher in 2050. In fact, this is world's one of the largest and the biggest health challenges. And therefore, the industries, agriculture industry, human pharma industry, and so on, are actively looking for substances that could replace antibiotics or additional ones that could treat bacterial infections. And one of the most promising candidates are bacteriophages.
Wow, amazing. Definitely, bacteriophages have been um, very interesting and got a lot of attention lately for exactly the same reasons you mentioned. The antibiotics seems like it was not an it wasn't it was a temporary solution. It was not solution forever. So yeah, alternatives seems very promising. That's great. What stage are you in? I mean,
Yeah, in the startup terms, we are in the seed stage, so
mhm.
we are still developing the products. At the moment, we have our own security level 2 lab in Ludwigshafen in Germany. It's the western part of Germany, and we had 10 employees, won multiple awards, and currently are working um, on two verticals, so to say. The first one is animal health. We are developing two products there as a therapeutics, and the second one is in the nutritional segment where we are developing one product.
Great. Also, the second vertical, the nutritious part is also in animal, right?
Yes, the first approach will be animal, especially focusing
Mhm.
on gut health, which is, as you might know, a tremendously large and very fast-growing segment. And obviously, as a biotech company, we have to focus or at least push various pipelines and have multiple candidates in order to mitigate the risks. And also, due to our in-house technology, this is a platform technology, we have the flexibility to work on multiple products at the same time and leveraging the benefits of the bacteriophages.
Amazing. Can I ask you what other alternatives do producers have today? So there is obviously antibiotics, which we know is not the best choice anymore, at least. And there's bacteriophage. What else? Is there any other
Uh,
choice out there?
so first of all, you mentioned it correctly. In a sustainable way, antibiotics are, we obviously found out that they are not sustainable due to the resistance issues. One of the, as I said, one of the main candidate alternatives are bacteriophages, because of the reason that while the resistance occurs, we are capable of replacing the phages, and therefore
Modifying
updating
it?
the products, modifying it significantly in a significantly more flexible way than antibiotics, obviously, which are fixated chemical substances. When it comes to other antibacterial solutions or substances, there are some such as peptides, but
Hmm.
this is a well-known that bacteriophages are considered as the major alternative there due to the significant strengths, or as well as there might be some options such as proteins from also bacteriophages, endolysins, for instance. So in the end, everything is circling around phages.
What an amazing sector to be in. Good luck to you and your startup, definitely. Um, so tell me, biotech is not the fastest win sector, obviously. I mean, it's one of the longest games in startup ecosystem. What does resilience mean to you and to your team to this space?
Um, well, I think first of all, biotechnology is you need not only a resilience but also determination because, as you mentioned, the let's say we have to take considered into consideration different aspects. The first one is the technical complexity, which meaning the research and development of the products takes a significant time, meaning this is a very long cycle. At the same time, there are regulatory complexities that have to be taken into consideration as well. And that's why it's crucial that especially the founding team has this resilience of, despite all those setbacks, and obviously as you as an entrepreneur, you know that there are many setbacks and many failures, many ups and also many downs. And I believe, especially in biotech that will last for several years, you have to bring the strengths, the mental strengths, and also the collaboration within the team, the strong foundation of the founding team in particular, to manage all these challenges in a long term.
And I remember you mentioning how proud you were and how happy you were with your founding team. And that's a blessing, definitely. That's definitely it. You win as an entrepreneur if you have team around you who is following you and sometimes leading you. So great part on
Yeah,
this.
I think when it comes to team, maybe based on my experience also in previous ventures and now, I think maybe as a tip um, for entrepreneurs who are just starting now, in the end, so in the end, the situations are quite often very challenging, and there are sometimes situations where the team has to stick together and basically realize that everyone is sitting in the same boat. And this is why I believe the team is by far, based on my experience, but also experience from other entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you would agree as well, the team is by far the most important aspect because a friend of mine who is a quite a famous investor in Germany with more than 30 years of experience in venture capital, he told me when they invest, and especially when he invests as business angel, he always assesses the possibility and the capability of the team if they can not only manage and develop the products and bring them on the market and solve those issues, but also in case it's necessary to pivot. So to adapt to those challenges and make sure that you just don't casually stop, but try to find solutions and perhaps identify new pathways. And that's why I think this really rational, powerful, well-balanced team with multiple disciplines is really something that every young entrepreneurs who are just starting should um, consider as the main aspect of their success.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I'll come back to an advice you might give to future entrepreneurs because you work with a lot of early stage founders. Um, what is the maybe you just answered the question, but what is that one truth or one advice you give them in advance when you talk to them?
Based on my personal experience, it's I mean, obviously, as I said, the founding team. Make sure that you get along perfectly with the founding team. And with get along, I really don't mean that there are no discussions. Obviously, in every single team, there are discussions. But those discussions should remain objective and should remain basically focused on not only personal ego, but on the benefits and interests of the firm. So this is the one. And this second one is, I think, the main reason why most of the startups fail. This is the product market fit gap. Basically, when you develop product that that has a mismatch with the demand from the market or from the target group, and this is achieved. Obviously, it's a very complex topic, but to summarize in a short time, you have to make sure that you understand the industry perfectly. With industry, I mean stakeholders, how they think, what are the products, why are those products purchased, what consequences there will be if you try to replace those products. Is there a demand? What is the actual problem? What is your solution? Is the solution actually solving the problem, or is the problem only exists from your perspective? And I think only when you make sure that those checkboxes are ticked, only then you can say that you achieved product market fit. And the trickiest part, I believe, in this particular scenario is only after you usually find out that you have the product market fit gap when it's too late. So you really have to make sure to test, understand that your product actually solves an actual problem and people are willing to buy it. And right in the beginning, I made the same mistake. For instance, in my first venture, we were focusing on fitness industry, and because of lack of experience, we thought only two stakeholders were responsible in the decision-making process to buy the product. And then we realized there was a third stakeholder who we really did not focus on, and at the same time, they had a significant influence on the decision-making processes. So in the end, we basically missed a group of people who have a pretty much an impact on your success. So that's what I mean by understanding the industry, understanding the psychology, identifying the product, doing the proper market research, competitor analysis, knowing the market developments, pricing structures, go-to-market strategies, because all these details in the end have an impact on your product market fit. And I believe this is something the founders really should focus on.
I bet the founders listening to us, because that's a very powerful advice right there. And probably you've seen a lot of founders who create solution, they build problems around it, as they say often. Um, what's your what Georgi, what you are in biotech right now? Once again, it's one of the most challenging sectors to be in, but generally, probably pandemic shaped biotech quite a lot. Can you give us the comparison where biotech was, where is it now, or where is it where is it heading to?
Um, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the impact of COVID not only had first of all, the COVID not only had a powerful impact on the on the awareness of people and populations about the bio or life science. We can call it also a life science industry. But at the same time, obviously, it made clear that the attractiveness of investments could be quite a big topic here as well, and that's why indeed biotech, in my opinion, is seeing significantly higher investments. But also before biotech in general is considered as quite stable. Um, as you might know, obviously now we have a hype of AI, meaning certain developments have a tremendous influence on this topic, and many investors are now focusing on AI investments. Uh, the same was on e-commerce, for instance, during COVID. The investments in e-commerce segment were significantly higher than before. Now it's decreasing. And I think biotech, on the other hand, or life science segment in general, have the stability and long-term approach. Yeah, this is what I can say about this particular topic. And obviously, the fact that COVID, as I said, the increase of awareness that there might be technologies such as mRNA, for instance, right?
Mhm.
mRNA technologies and vaccines, or what BioNTech, for instance, achieved. Within a very short period of time, a company generated multiple billions of revenues, and they are still using this money now. That was a net income after all of these vaccine sales to finance the cancer pipelines that they have and focus on. So this was a very beneficial financially when it comes to the biotech due to the high earnings, but also increase of awareness as well as the investment increase helps to shape this industry now.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing. Georgi, well, we are getting to the end of our conversation. There are just a couple of questions I would love to ask you. Um,
Go on.
you mentioned your previous venture. You mentioned the fail. You mentioned that you did not count some things on. How important is the failure in the process? What would be your advice on that?
So it's an interesting question. I would say it has two major benefits. The first one is you learn in a very painful way because it's not just let's say when you fail. First of all, let's clarify what does the failure mean, right? There are, as I said, many ups and downs. So you got when you want to get an investment, you know it yourself. You contact so many investors, and many of them basically don't want to invest. So if you call it also a failure, at some point it could be a failure, right? So those, let's call it downs. So the roller coaster with many ups and downs makes you really strong, and strong in a way that you pretty much do not react anymore in case there are some significant issues. So whatever was your problem, or you interpreted something as a big problem in the past, this was the case for me, and I was very emotional when every time I failed to achieve the goal. Now it's just part of the journey. Because you have on parallel basis so many to-dos. This is just one small part, and you always try to find a solution. For the entrepreneurs starting now, 99% of your time you are solving problems, and within 1% of this time you try to push, evolve new markets, find new customers, develop it. But most of the time, you are always dealing with solving some problems. So that's why you become very resilient. And now, from this perspective, I'm actually sometimes smiling about these little issues I was worried about. And that's why this failure and so many downs in this journey make you really strong. This is the one. And the second one is, as I firstly said, you learn in quite a painful way in the beginning, and you learn in a way that you do not forget. This really stays in your head because it's not just, let's say, having studied an exam for 1 month, for instance, and you still failed, for instance. This is also bad, but at the same time, when you wanted to achieve a goal, you spend ridiculously large amount of time, pretty much your whole life or your social life, free time, weekends, and it still doesn't work. And you know the reason, and this is the key. Basically, you always have to think why it did not work out. Because you have to learn to make sure that in the next time you avoid this particular mistake again. And I think failure is something that should be, it's never good, but it should be normalized in a way that I always see these differences in the US, for instance, this failure culture, and I'm sure you heard of it as well. Failure culture is a bit different than when it comes to Europe or let's say in Germany as well. It's not really seen as straightforward. Many people see it as a shame, which always surprises me because entrepreneurs are the people who basically try to make a change, and nobody can tell me a change that came without a failure. It's a very iterative process. So, on the contrary, people should feel this strengths that okay, it did not work out, but now let's learn from it and push it harder. Because in the end, the goal is to make a change, and this is a very painful process.
Yeah, definitely. It makes your skin way thicker, so you don't you are not worried about the problems you thought you were or you were a year ago. Um, Georgi, there's a one particular question we ask all of our guests. We try to kind of time travel here, time travel into 2050, and guess what agriculture would look like by 2050. Put up your imagination, just give us your perspective, how you see agriculture or the particular
In
aspect you are in.
2050, agriculture in 2050, right?
Yes.
I believe the focus, this is my personal opinion, but I would say the focus would be on diagnostic-based preventive approaches with a very large emphasis on personalized approach. I think this has been always a very difficult topic to make these really individualized, personalized, or custom tailored approaches scalable. And I think lately we see a very good development for diagnostics, also from companies such as Medea, what we are doing, basically more precision uh, treatments, precision approaches, a lot of preventive activities. And yeah, this is something that I believe is already a trend, but there are some technical challenges, and I think by 2050 they should be solved. And I would actually say the same for human pharma industry as well. Those trends are going towards this direction of more precise, specific, custom-tailored, personalized approaches, and by saying so, obviously all these other satellite inventions and solutions coming along with them.
That sounds pretty realistic. And
What do you think? Maybe we'll
ah,
do the reverse question here. What do you think?
one thing that comes to my mind, well, to be very honest, I also agree. And looking at all the trends that has been around, personification is one of the things that we will achieve a lot of progress in. So I truly share your perspective generally on treatment side. Rather than that, I believe that we somehow will be able to sustainably grow food. Sustainable has a lot of angles. It has a lot of ways. It's been used a lot of times. But one thing clear, we don't farm today sustainably. And I think that's going to be the biggest differentiator by 2050, between 2050 and today, because there should be a way there should be a way how we can farm sustainably. Otherwise, as you've said, future does not seem promising. But I believe in humankind. I believe in AI that has been already with us. That's one big hack we will achieve by 2050.
Yeah,
Thank
especially
you, Georgi.
already, yeah, I mean,
Please.
fork to farm approach already what the European Union is pushing to make the whole cycle basically circular and make sure that the, as you mentioned, the sustainability. But I would be very interesting to see how AI will actually, and I mean really specifically in a tangible way, make this change and how it will be implemented. Let's say also in plant industry, in plant agriculture industry, for instance, where you are the expert. This is something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I will be interviewing a lot of change makers here who will be and are the pioneers in the industry. So stay tuned, watch our episodes, and let's see. Let's hope that future, and I guess we both do hope that future will be way more interesting and way more sustainable than it is right now. Georgi, it's been amazing to have you today on my podcast.
Thank,
I wish
thanks
you,
for having me.
Medea, and the whole team all the great success that is ahead of you.
Same.
All the great
Wish
to
you
you.
too.
Cheers.
And hope to see you
Bye
soon,
bye.
Irakli.
Finally. Absolutely, absolutely, Georgi. Bye bye.